This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
Welcome to DBL. It is Tuesday, May 12th. For those that are still keeping track, I'm Tori. I'm in the studio with Erica Cobb today. Erica, how you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I have 3 extensions left. And I'm just making sure that they stay hidden.
That's cool.
Right?
Your 3 extensions match my 3 eyelashes.
There you go.
Yeah, we're
making it.
Quarantine queens over here.
Hashtag quarantine life. That's exactly right. Joining us right now from home. I wonder if she has anything that's like falling apart. Lindsay Granger, how are you doing? Do you have anything falling apart?
Listen, I get so frustrated by putting on my own eyelashes, I'm just not doing it anymore. Just straight up real eyelashes. I don't got time for all that in the morning, I'm sorry.
You said it took you 45 minutes, like each eye.
Really, it's like, I can't do it anymore. It's just not possible for me to do homework on the show, and I'm just done with it. No eyelashes.
Let's go natural. We like that a lot. All right, we're moving on. I want to get your take on some of these headlines, guys. After multiple people in the West Wing tested positive for COVID-19, the White House yesterday rolled out an official new policy, all right? Most everyone must wear a mask. So at yesterday's news conference, the press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, was seen wearing one. So was the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. But of course, President Trump, as you can see here, was not wearing one. Still, excuse me, it's McEnany. I just wanted to say Kayleigh McEnany. Meantime, the nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, is testifying in front of the Senate. I was watching this morning over my waffles. He's appearing remotely because he's self-quarantined, and he has a warning about opening up too soon. Let's take a look.
Their attempt, understandable, to get back to some form of normality, disregard to a greater or lesser degree the checkpoints that we put in our guidelines about when it is safe to proceed in pulling back on mitigation. Because I feel if that occurs, there is a real risk that you will trigger an outbreak that you may not be able to control, which in fact, paradoxically, will set you back, not only leading to some suffering and death that could be avoided, but could even set you back on the road to trying to get economic recovery, because it would almost turn the clock back rather than going forward.
All right, I always say this, Linz, and I want to get your take on this. Disaster movies always start with someone in the government not listening to a scientist. It always starts the same way. Why are we not listening to what Dr. Fauci, the scientist, the head of the NIH infectious diseases, why aren't we listening to him?
I think the main thing is, and I know that the president and a lot of people have access in the White House to more tests than a lot of people. Like, they get tested every day, they said. But that's the thing, like, you might go an hour later and be in contact with somebody, have a dormant virus and pass it. And so the whole point of the mask is to protect other people. That's why people in the grocery store get frustrated when you show up with no mask, because they're going out of their way to keep you safe, and they're hoping their friendly neighbor will do the same thing. So I think Anthony Fauci just saying that. And we saw the restaurant in Colorado that decided to host a crowd on Mother's Day has already been closed down. Like, no one was in there with a mask on. So you can't have both. You can't want to get out and be outside and live your life and also be outside with no mask and not protect other people, because then we're going to be right back in the situation in the fall.
Yeah, and remember, in the 1918 Spanish flu, in 1 month we lost 195,000 people in a second wave. 195,000. I know we're more prepared with technology, but that worries me, and I agree with you. Listen to the scientists, people. That's my opinion. Eric, I want to get your take on this. The man behind the video. I got so many people asking me who was shooting the video in the Ahmad Arbery case. Well, we now know. He shows the shooting death of Ahmad Arbery is speaking out. Here's what William Bryant, who goes by Roddy, said about it to GMA this morning.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't have been there, but once again, if I hadn't have been there, there wouldn't have been no video. If the video wasn't there, I don't think there would be an outcome that anybody would be satisfied with. But I'm not proud that I shot the video, but maybe it helps in the end.
And maybe it helps put you as an accessory to murder. That's my opinion. Again, just alleged. There are still a lot of questions in the case, like, why didn't he just call 911? Well, his lawyer answered that question on CNN, so let's take a look at that.
Why didn't he call 911?
Well, first of all, he can't use the phone for a phone call while
I know,
he's
but you can hang up and call 911. You can stop videotaping and call 911.
Things are much different. It's one thing to watch it on TV. It's another thing to do it in real life.
All right. Erica, what should happen to Roddy Bryant?
He should be charged as an accessory to murder. Not only was he shooting the video, he was also loading his weapon.
Correct.
I think we heard that in the video. This is a very convenient spin for him, but there's been a lot of convenient spins when we're talking about this in hindsight, because most of the things, the information that has come out has not been consistent with the facts of the case after it's been investigated. So when you have time, it's like when you're a child, you do something wrong, and before your parents come home, you do 4 different things in order to explain the reason why you did something wrong. There's no difference in this case, except it's actually a volatile case that cost someone his life.
Yeah, I agree with you. Put down the gun, how about that, and make the call. Lindsay, how do you take on this? This is just, we're not letting up on the story, and how do you feel about this new ripple in the case?
I mean, I was watching all the interviews yesterday, and I think that his lawyer was saying that he didn't know McMichaels at all. He was following a car that he thought he was familiar with. So basically, he saw a Ford that's a very common car and decided to follow a random Ford that somebody he doesn't know. He also, if you look at the police report, the McMichaels described him as Roddy trying to block Ahmad in. Why would they call you by your nickname if they don't know you? There's so many things that don't make sense from the different interviews that he just did yesterday that show us that, of course, any person would want to distance themselves from people that have been put in prison at this point and are awaiting trial. Like, I think that he would want to distance himself, but it's too little too late. You have a video and we hear you loading a gun, allegedly, so we really want to know what's going on. It doesn't make sense, your story, that you followed a random car. And you're going to have to try harder than that if you want to convince all these people that are upset.
Yeah, and they allegedly live about a minute away from each other. Remember I Run with Maude, everyone was running. Well, check this out, a pastor, I want to get this story in video real quick. He ran with a full flat screen TV through a neighborhood to show that he could do it for 2.23 miles, and not one person stopped him.
In the suburb.
Isn't that crazy? I think that's an interesting video testimony. All right, we do have to give a big DBL shout out to this man, Nicholas Johnson. He is the first ever Black valedictorian at Princeton, which has been around for 274 years. He's graduating with a majors in operations research. I don't even know what that is, and financial engineering. Erica, what do you have to say to this gentleman?
Well, this is amazing. I mean, the idea that we're seeing progress like this, we're seeing recognition like this, because one thing that sticks out to me, notable Princeton alum, in the Becoming documentary with Michelle Obama, she talks about the idea that there are all sorts of affirmative action, but we're only really looking at one type of it. And so when you see someone who's represented in this way, it's not that this is the first time that this was a possibility, it's just the first time that it happened because of the representation that we have at these institutions.
I agree. I think representation matters, and now you can see why. Lindsay, what do you feel about it? Mazel tov, no? Congrats.
Yeah, no, congratulations to him. I think it's a huge deal, too, if you look at the historical context of Princeton. Their first 8 or 9 presidents were slave owners, according to their documents. And so to see a black man winning this title, in his senior year and being the valedictorian is a huge deal. And I'm super proud of him. And he said, everybody following his footsteps, hopefully he's an inspiration, so you know that it's possible for you as well.
Yeah, it's important to see that. Also, I like a man who wears pink. My dad always says, real men wear pink.
Oh, Jerry.
I agree.
We love Jerry.
Jerry made a fresh strawberry shortcake from fresh flour and dough. The man can do anything.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. Thanks, Lindsay. Thank you for hanging out with us from home. We'll see you later in the week. Please stay healthy, stay laughing, and keep those eyelashes off your face. Next up, Dr. Pyle Coley tackles more viewer questions about the coronavirus pandemic, keeping your family safe from the disease. Plus, we're chatting with one of my favorite human beings on earth, TV's funniest woman, Jane Lynch. What she really thought of her memorable role on Glee and the new project she's got in the works. And as we go to break, a reminder that here at DBL, we are live and new every single day, even though basically all our employees are working from home. Look at us making it work, huh? Just one clap. Thank you all. We'll be right back. Welcome back to DBL. We are all about facts, not fear, and providing the info to keep you and your loved ones safe, because that's what you do in a pandemic, right? Well, our own Dr. Pyle Coley, she's not our own, I just really take her in as our own. She joins us live in azure blue, looking beautiful. Before we get to our viewer questions, South Korea and China are seeing a bit of a second wave. We talked about that a bit earlier. Both countries have just reintroduced some form of social distancing and lockdown. What does that mean, Doc?
Hi, Tori. Hi, Erica. I just want to say that jewelry is the equivalent in women of what pocket squares are in men.
Ooh.
So I'm doing a jewelry thing.
Totally fair comparison.
So let's get down to business now. Let's talk about South Korea and China, because essentially they're just ahead of us in the timeline. So we're basically getting a glimpse into what our future could look like. And what we're seeing is that if you see a surge in cases go up, it is a possibility that here in the US, we may have to start to do some of this lockdown again if we start to see cases go up. But the one thing that they have that I think we really need to work on is that widespread testing. So both South Korea and China are able to test widely, so they know very quickly if the cases are going up. And in some parts of the country, I still worry that we don't have the testing up to speed.
That's fair.
I just remember a couple months ago at the beginning of this, Dr. Coley, you kept saying, like, we're watching Italy, to see that trend. So I guess it's really important to see what's happening in the other side of the world. But let's get to viewer questions. Tina asks, does the doctor think our lives will go back to normal, or will my grandkids grow up social distancing and wearing masks?
Whoa.
Yeah, important question. Yes, absolutely yes. Our lives will go back to normal. It's just a matter of buying some time for the scientists to come up with treatments and, most importantly, come up with a vaccine that works and is safe. So don't lose hope. We're definitely going to have things go back to normal. But in the meantime, I do want us to change our relationship with masks and social distancing. You know, as a person, I hate it. I can't see you guys. I can't see my friends. I can't do many of the things I want to do. But as a doctor, social distancing and masks have actually reduced the incidence of other infectious diseases like the flu, the cold. So they've made us healthier people. And when I went to China last summer, everybody was wearing masks. So it's a cultural thing here in the United States where we really think masks are a sign of illness. But we should turn that around and start thinking about masks as a sign of health and as a way to protect our neighbors and our community.
Yeah, make it a thing. Although it's new, we just have to get used to it. Our next question from Marco gets right to the point. He writes, simple question, Doc, did we flatten the curve?
Yes, we did, actually, very well. And that's the reason we saved a lot of American lives that could have been lost. But keep in mind, it's not a static thing. So as we open up again, that curve could get steep again. So we got to keep working on flattening that curve, doing the same things we did before, keeping that distance and wearing those masks, washing those hands.
All right. Before we go, it is, of course, the time to uplift everyone. It's time for Dr. Coley Silver Lining. Wow. That was cool. What do you have for us?
I like it.
A lot of singing there. What do you have for us today?
So today I have some news out of mainland China. And believe it or not, after decades and decades of illegal animal trade and consumption, the Department of Ministry and Agriculture has finally issued a draft statement banning the trade and consumption of wild animals.
Wow.
And one city in China, Shenzhen, has actually banned the consumption of dogs and cats.
Wow.
Now, this is great for so many reasons, because firstly, we love our dogs and cats and we want to protect them. Secondly, this really gets rid of the whole incentive for illegal trade of animals. And then thirdly, you know, we know that disease can transmit from animals to humans through these types of means. So by banning this, we could have potentially prevented future pandemics.
Wow, that's fantastic and great news. If you're a dog owner, you certainly know about the dog meat market, and so people have been trying to get that ended for a while. Thank you so much, Doctor. She will be back. What will jewelry she'll be wearing? We never know. So if you do have a question about coronavirus you want answered by Dr. Coley, just write us on social media. You can also email info@dailyblastlive.com. There's no panic, just prevention, precaution, and a little touch of azure. We'll be right back. Welcome back to DBL. Jane Lynch, she is such a shero of mine. She served up witty one-liners for years as Sue Sylvester on Glee. Well, now the actress and comedian is continuing her run as the hilarious host on Hollywood Game Night. Earlier, I had the chance to catch up with Jane, and just a heads up, there were some technical difficulties, so the video's a little bit glitchy, but we still think you're going to enjoy today's Chatting with the Stars. Jane Lynch, one of my favorite human beings. Welcome to DBL. I have loved you since Best in Show and the Christopher Guest movies. I can't wait to talk with you all about Hollywood Game Night. But first, I've got to ask you, how's quarantine for Jane Lynch? You loving it? You hating it?
I'm a homebody, so it hasn't been any hardship. It's kind of how I live, and now I just feel less guilty about it.
Yeah, me too.
And I go on Twitter for far too long and watch my news shows and read a book, and it's kind of how I live.
All right, let's talk Hollywood Game Night. You're hosting from home for a special social distancing episode. Tons of stars will also be playing from home.
We are going to play a little game, not for points, called Put a Finger Down. And I know that sounds dirty, but it isn't.
Is there one celeb who really brings their A game, like, every time?
Well, Kristen Bell and Sean Hayes have been on the show multiple times, and you know, it's Sean Hayes created the show, so he should be good at it. And they're really great. John Legend has been on several times, and he's on this episode. Nick Jonas is a first-timer on this particular show, and he does a great job. And we did it from their homes. I hosted it from my home, and it was like having a party. So we had a really good time. We raised a lot of money for Red Nose Day, which, as you know, we have done 2 previous Red Nose Day shows.
You recently reunited with your fellow Glee cast on Zoom, which is such an iconic show. I heard that you originally only started as a guest star. How did Sue Sylvester come to be a regular?
Sue Sylvester was not in the original pilot episode, and it was the guy who was head of Fox at the time, Kevin Riley, who said, "You need a villain." And that's when Ryan Murphy said, her name will be Sue Sylvester and she will be played by Jane Lynch. So I hold on to that as something that really happened.
That's unbelievable. That's amazing. You're in the new Netflix series Space Force, also starring Steve Carell. I can't wait for this.
The president is creating a new branch, Space Force, which Mark will run.
What? You play the chief of naval operations, but how do you think you would cut it as a member of the Space Force, Lynch, in real life?
You know, what's funny about the show is that it's not really defined, just like it's not really defined in the president's mind either. So, you know, I would try to be a team player, just like everybody else on Space Force. And poor Steve Carell's character has to lead this and kind of decide what the mission is and try not to waste the taxpayers' money. And he takes it as seriously as he can, although it starts out as a joke and probably ends up as a joke.
Thank you, Jane. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. And thanks for being a great improviser.
Oh, you bet. Thank you.
Make sure to check out Hollywood Game Night with Jane Lynch as the host. It airs tonight on NBC. She's amazing. She's an improviser from, I think, the Groundlings. I was at UCB, and all I did was stare at Jane Lynch movies, the Christopher Guest movies, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show. So if you haven't seen any of them and you want a good laugh, you got a lot of time, I guess.
I love her. I love anybody who's so authentically themselves that people can't stand it.
Yeah, I know. She's just who she is and always has been. I love her. And when I got to the interview right before, she was like tweeting like birds to herself. And I was like, she is my kind of person.
Hey.
We all got to do it. All right, we'll be right back. Welcome back to DBL. Okay, we can fix your patio if it's in need of a budget-friendly makeover. We got a few ideas to help, and you've got time. Stephanie shows us how to spruce up a small patio space on this DBL Decked Out, presented by Sunsetter Awnings.
Hey everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to really spruce up an outdoor space by adding plants, a few pops of colour and a couple of accessories. You're not going to believe this transformation. First of all, I'm going to add a rug to the space. It's going to really make it feel a lot cosier and more homely. I love fairy lights and I want to add a bit of a glow and an ambience to my patio. So I'm going to add some string lights to my balcony. I'm going to add a plant, then I'm going to bring in my existing patio furniture and show you, just by adding a few scatter cushions and throws, how you can really make it come to life. Finally, we all love accessories. I'm going to add a couple of little extra fire lighters to really bring my space to life. There you have it, a beautiful, colourful outdoor space. For more ways to brighten up your patio, call Sunsetter Awnings at 1-800-632-5908.
That looked really good.
I love Steph.
I know. I like just staring off into the balcony.
It seems so peaceful.
It does.
We actually did a little patio project last weekend, and by we, I mean my husband Anthony. I ordered the lights, but we got the bistro lights because Jeff Schroeder started a major war in our home. I was like, look at what Jeff has been able to do, and he's lived in his house for like 2.5 seconds.
2 seconds. I am also attracted to the fairy lights, as you know. I've wrapped every tree in my yard with solar lights, and I also, no joke, lined my walkway in the backyard with lights so I could walk down it at night and feel like kind of a catwalk.
I'm on that too.
Yeah, it's really good.
This weekend.
I think you should try it. All right, reminder, we are all new every day. Yes, we are. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay laughing. Bye, guys.